Based on these literature findings, we propose that the type of channel has a positive influence on the GP's perceived effectiveness of the consultation, which is measured by examining the three key purposes of medical communication: exchange of information, making shared treatment-related decisions, and creating an interpersonal relationship between doctor and patient. More specifically, we want to find out how each channel influences the GP's perceived effectiveness, and in that way, if they could serve as an effective alternative to face-to-face consultations. From this, we derive three hypotheses. The types of in-consultation channels are an effective alternative to face-to-face consultations for the exchange of information, shared decision-making, and creating an interpersonal relationship with the patient. In order to investigate our research question and get a better understanding of how GPs perceive the effectiveness of online compared to face-to-face consultations, we conducted qualitative research that consisted of a case study. The data used in this research derived from primary data, which was gathered through a survey with 4 respondents from 3 interviews. The interviews were conducted with GPs from Gezondheidscentrum Hasseler S, located in Hengelo. In the surveys, we asked the GPs how they perceive the effectiveness of the 3 in-consultation channels compared to face-to-face consultations, and in the interviews we went more in-depth into this. Through our research, we found some interesting influences of the redesigned consultations on the perceived effectiveness of those consultations. We will discuss our findings per channel. Since the beginning of the pandemic, telephone consultations have increased a lot at GHE. They fully replaced physical consultations at first, and now they are used alongside them. Information exchange is facilitated through telephone consultations by the possibility of quickly transferring information, for example to check up on a patient a week after the treatment began. However, information exchange is also negatively affected by telephone consultations because nonverbal communication cannot be picked up on via phone. It is also more difficult for the GP to know whether the patient understood what the GP said, and because some patients might not have strong language skills, it can be hard for them to describe their symptoms properly. Lastly, if a patient doesn't pick up the phone, a lot of time can be lost on trying to reach the patient. Therefore, the hypothesis of a telephone consultation being an effective alternative for the exchange of information is only partially supported, that is, for specific cases such as follow-ups. For shared decision-making to be feasible through telephone consultations, a relationship with the patient should already exist. Telephone consultations make it harder for the GP to know if they got through to the patient, because as mentioned, there is no nonverbal communication. Besides that, advice given over the phone might be taken less seriously than the advice a patient receives face-to-face. Therefore, the hypothesis of a telephone consultation being an effective alternative for shared decision-making is not supported.